So the first thing I would do is, it says 33 days, and I'm doing this as if I'm looking at any property on Zillow. And you sent me a link. Okay, sure, let's take a look at the link. Let's take a look at the history. Okay, so according to this history, they literally only have it listed for 33 days. Okay, not bad.
Okay.
619. But typically you'll see, or many times you'll see, they had it listed for a year and they took it off and they put it back on, and pending and all these other things. But this one was pretty straightforward. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what do I see on this particular listing? I see that in 2023, it was listed. I guess I can expand and see what else, right? Listed for sale 2022. Even before that, like a long time, they had it listed around in the 70s after it got sold.
Yeah.
Right. And about 71 sold, price change, like all that stuff. But generally speaking, it looks like the last time it sold was 2023. Presumably it was for 73K. And then, it took a really long time for them to relist it. And this time they are listing it at 90K.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, this looks like a prime property, and I will tell you why. But before I do that, let me show some additional details of what I think happened here. Okay, so next thing I will take a look. First of all, let me pull up the address. And you said you looked in PropStream, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it says nothing owed.
And it says nothing owed. The wholesale atlas. Okay. So I will tell you what I see. So now I will let you know that not just PropStream, but any software that uses it pulls data in and it tries to give you the best data it can and all that stuff. But you should know that no application is perfect. All right?
Yeah.
Obviously, no application is perfect. Yours says that there's no mortgage, no problem, so this should be free and clear. Okay? That's what I told you up front. But the software that I use, which HomeAN doesn't like too much, but hey, we're all in the same ecosystem. Property that you should be able to use multiple tools, whichever one helps.
To find all the same.
Find all the information you can, And according to this one, and maybe even PropStream has some of this information, but according to this one, there is an outstanding loan. And I go down and I look to get the details of this loan, and it says, hey, there was actually a sale. The price is listed for sale, that's the price. But it says here there's a warranty deed on 3/23, right? So in March of 2023.
Okay.
And then it says there's a loan for 53K, pretty much, 54K, and the balance now is 53K at 6.12%. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So to me, when I go back to the Zillow listing, and remember it said that it sold in 2023. Let's go all the way down, right? It said it sold in 2023 for 73. To me, I'm like, it seems to me like it was sold as a fix and flip. It needed to be fixed. Somebody did take out a loan, either to buy it and maybe fix it or whatever, put maybe some of their own money into it. And then, especially if they put their own money into it, they might have been trying to do this, all on their own. And so it took, as opposed to 3 or 4 months to flip, to fix so that they can then put it back on market, it just took a while.
Got you. Yeah.
Okay. So to me, that's what happened. So I would say that there probably is a loan on it. Maybe there isn't, but in any case, like I said, every software, even this one, right? The Wholesale Atlas, there's no guarantee that
Yeah.
this number is accurate. Maybe it did have a loan and maybe it's totally paid off. Who knows? Nobody knows.
Okay.
Okay? But the seller knows and the agent might know. So one thing you can do is make the call, talk to the agent, and say, hey, I'd like to buy this property, maybe using creative financing, or a lot of times we don't say that at all. We say, hey, I personally say, I want to buy this property over time. You think they'd allow me to do that?
Oh, okay.
And they will say, yes or no. If they say, I don't know, maybe they might, well, okay, cool. So they haven't said no, which is good.
Yeah.
But somewhere in that process, you'll find out that the property is not free and clear. And then you're like, oh, it's, and another way you can find out, by the way, of course, Richard goes through a bunch of different options. You said you've been looking at the videos. There are different ways to find out if the property is free and clear. You can be like, hey, I want to buy this property, just like they say. I want to buy it for cash, but my software is telling me I should only, for cash, I should only pay $60,000 for it. Okay.
Gotcha,
and sometimes when you say that, they'll be like, oh yeah, they can't sell it for $60,000. There's a mortgage. And like, oh, there's a mortgage. Okay, I guess it can't be that low then. Okay,
Yeah.
So that's a different way you can look at it. All right.
So then would that be like an opportunity if there is a $58,000 mortgage on it?
Yep.
Would that be an opportunity for a mortgage takeover?
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, all of this stuff
Okay.
depends on, is the agent willing to accept that and present it to the seller? They're supposed to present all offers, but is this particular agent willing to do that? And
Yeah.
is the seller willing to accept it as well? Obviously.
Yeah.
So, other questions?
And so something like this, would you say, like, basically, because obviously you don't want to proceed to call for every single property you click on, but for something like this, would this, in your opinion, be a good lead to continue on to call, to talk to the realtor and get more information on?
It's a good question. Let me ask you before I answer that. How many calls have you made?
Yeah. To be honest, 0. Because
Okay.
I've only been in it for 3 days. I was kind of I wanted to absorb as much information as I could. Not that I have like any sort of like fear of calling, more in the sense of when questions arise, I want to have a precise, answer. And I know that sometimes you won't, and I can, I do have like outs to say, well, let me talk to my business partner or something along those lines of, I'll get back to you on that question.
Yeah.
But I wanted to at least go into it to where my calls are precise and not super confusing.
Okay. Fair enough. I think
Yeah.
that is a quite valid reason. There's a quite valid reason not to have made a first call after 3 days. And a lot of people will answer that question and be like, oh, I want to know like everything there is to know so that when they ask me a question, I know the answer. Well, you won't. you just won't.
Well, you won't, and you won't until you start making calls.
Exactly.
And then you get those questions, and then you get the answers to those questions.
Yep.
And then you can kind of continue. But yeah, and honestly, calling over the weekends, I was kind of, because I joined on Friday at like 4 p.m. my time.
Okay.
And so at that point, I knew all of East Coast, because I'm on the West Coast, I knew all of East Coast was out. And by the time I had even started looking at properties, it had hit like 6:30. And so I was like, at that point in time, didn't know a lot of lingo, didn't know a lot of that type of stuff. So I've learned over the weekend.
Yeah.
And so I figured tomorrow I was planning on calling for a few properties. Because I feel like I have a better grasp of things.
Yeah.
Especially after watching a lot of the videos. But
Well, I would say that's a perfectly sensible direction to go. I'll tell you
Okay.
that, I did. How did I do it? I basically, like, I think you're a little bit more advanced than me here, on one end, where like you've already gone to this idea that, based on what you've learned, you can do like a seller financing option. That's basically what you were talking about. Although it turns out that because
Yeah.
there's a mortgage, you can't really do that, right? It's got to be free and clear for you to basically
To do a seller finance.
seller
Yeah.
finance, because if there's a mortgage, then somebody has to pay the bank.
Yeah.
But for me, I basically, once I got in here, I learned for 23 hours straight, no sleep. I'm like, I'm gonna learn everything there is to learn as quickly as I could. So no sleep for 23
Yeah.
hours, and at the end of 23 hours, I was like, I think I know enough to make a cash call. Found a deal, potentially deal, called,
Yeah.
got it under contract, and like within a day or two, it turned out that it was a manufactured home, and although I got it under contract, they said, yeah, we don't do manufactured homes, and so you got to cancel it. So,
Oh, okay.
but literally, I
So,
learned.
so manufactured because it's only houses, right?
I think the challenge there was that they want you to own the house and the land the house is on.
Got you. And a lot of the manufactured homes are on property that also have their own space rent.
Exactly.
Got you.
Yeah. So
Which is subject to however much the person who owns the land wants to charge, which
exactly.
can totally throw off price points. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the thing is, let's say the buyer comes along and eventually, let's say they buy it over time, it's a great deal, and then now they own it completely. Well, what do they own? They own the house. And the people who own the land they can kick everybody off the land and redevelop it. They can do whatever they want because as you,
Yeah.
the buyer, you don't have any rights in that sense.
And now you have to spend $40,000 transporting your home to a property that now you have to purchase the property as well. So
Exactly.
it just doesn't
Yep.
pan out
Yep.
financially.
Yeah, so everything
Yeah.
is very complex there. One thing that does happen though is if you do find manufactured homes, there are definitely buyers who will buy the entire, mobile home park. They just don't want to buy like a single house on that park, or in that park.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because the whole property can be profitable
Exactly.
if they own everything, including the land, but
Yeah.
not the actual not just the one property.
Yeah,
The land.
and
Makes sense.
it turns out it's even easier if you buy that the mobile home park, because you can do things like, let's say buy it for, I don't know, throw a number, $1 million, and then immediately you can start replacing the mobile homes in there and upgrading it, or upgrading the property, charging more. You can charge everybody more, because you technically own the park now, so you can, it's almost like a homeowners association you're running, so you could literally raise the prices,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So different things you can do.
Okay.
So for this particular property, to answer your question very specifically, yes, I would make this call. I would call them, like you said, tomorrow. And the approach I would take is making a good friend out of Tamia, the agent. That's what I
Okay.
do. So for any of these properties, like I said, for me myself, I'm a buyer. I buy properties, but not individual properties that are on, let's say they're on market or whatever, they're for sale. I literally don't even worry about that particular property. I need to find real estate agents or even sellers, if they've got multiple properties, that are willing to work with me. They're, hey, are they willing to accept money over time? Are they? That's the biggest thing. Like, can you accept? You're selling this one, for example, for $90K. You want to sell it for $90K. Cool. can I buy this from you over time, whether it's 5 years, 7 years, whatever that number is? Can I give you something
Yeah.
like $500 a month, or 1,000, whatever that number is, so that I can then rent it out for twice as much, right?
Yes.
So that's
yeah.
the thing. So if they say no, if the agent says no, I don't like that, I think seller finance and all these other things are crap, da da da. Okay, cool. So that's an agent I never want to work with. It doesn't matter anything about this property, right?
You're just looking for the actual individual people who are willing to do seller finance
Yeah.
and talk it up to to the sellers
Yeah.
and
I mean,
make
so
it make sense to the seller.
yeah, and it's not just make it make sense. It's accepting that it could make sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like in this case, this particular one, like we talked about, it does seem to have a mortgage. The mortgage seems to be somewhere around, let's go back and check, somewhere around 50 something, if I remember correctly. Yeah, somewhere around 53, right? And they're trying
Yeah.
they're trying to sell it for, this is actually another reason why I use this website. They're trying to sell it for 90, okay? So I can simply, it already has the calculator and all that stuff built in, so I can just scroll down and I can say this looks like it's going to be a hybrid or seller or subject to, either one. They want 90K. Let's give them 90K. Let's give it to them over time. We'll give them a down payment of $4,500, which comes out to 5%. And I think when we looked at it, it didn't need any rehab. So I guess that was the other thing I was going to look at. So let's take a quick look. So, yeah, this is important. The whole point is I'm reviewing a property, so let's review the property. Here's what I see. Here's what I see. First of all, they're using a technique to show many different pictures when they don't necessarily have to, but it's okay. We understand what they're doing. I want to go, let's see, can I use next? How do I get to the next one? Click it. Oh, it's probably hidden off to the right. Okay, so there's the next one, right? This is to the side. I personally love a brick front property. Love, love, love those. I think they look really nice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Look at the next one. Okay, I don't know. It's not showing me what I want to do. So I'll just go one by one. All right. So we'll click on this. This is the interior. So what I'm looking at here, the floors. This looks like real hardwood floors. Okay.
Oh, so it's not LVP. Okay.
Well, that's what it looks like to me. It literally looks like real hardwood floors. I could be wrong.
It does, yeah.
Right? I could be wrong, but if it is, then that's a good thing. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not saying
the one in the kitchen looks like LVP.
Okay.
I think the one in the living room is real hardwood.
Okay, cool. Perfect. So I'll get to there. The other thing I see here is based on the vents, this has central heating, central air.
Okay.
Okay, that's also a good thing to know. Alright, unfortunately I have to do this one by one. I don't remember, what is this pole? Oh, I guess maybe it's close to the front, so maybe that's just a coat rack. Walls look fine, nothing crazy. The windows seems to suggest that outside is okay. Kitchen looks...
Yeah, the only paint spot that looked like it needed it was in one of the bedrooms. That was the only reason I said it might need a repainting. I forget what spot it was, but it looked like a wall repair where it wasn't painted properly.
Okay.
It was in one of the... maybe it was the kitchen. I'm trying to look back now. Let me see.
Yeah,
If I look at the posts.
yeah, no worries. I went through all of them really quickly, but
Yes, it was in a bedroom with the carpet in the bottom right of that room.
oh, I see.
I don't know if it
I
was
got
just discoloration, and it just looked like discoloration on the wall. I think that it looks like paint. I would hope that's not any sort of water damage, but it looks like paint.
Right. So I would agree with you. I think what you're seeing there is two different applications of paint. I
Yeah.
would agree. So I
It,
think
it looks like an off-white and an eggshell.
exactly. So it looks like they thought they had enough paint, they did it, and then they were like, oh, need more paint, and they went back and got some more. The first
Yeah.
one dried, and then the second one they put on, and the second one they probably put on to the left, and the other one was already on the right-hand side. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
Now, I think it probably looks better in person, but obviously we're looking at picture, and the picture is pretty high quality. So maybe that's why it's really picking it up,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you.
And it could be the lighting of the room. It could be just the cameras can also play tricks on you with different lightings. So could be something like that as well. But
But in general, I think they did an awesome job. The carpeting looks good. It looks like it was cleaned, even after they've done whatever, because they probably would have walked, all through this house after the fact. But it looks like they've kept it up. This wood paneling and all that stuff, this looks great. This looks like upstairs. That's a nice room. I'm saying it. I don't really like Detroit personally, because one property like this one can look perfect, and like the neighborhood right behind it could be very, very, very
could
bad.
be really, really, yeah.
So,
That was one of the things where I was struggling when I found it, because I was like, I think the property looks nice, the bathroom looks nice.
yeah, yeah,
Some of the electrical looks some outdated, especially like it seems like that one bedroom, like even the electrical, the sockets don't even have a three-way socket. It's a two-way. So
that
even
same
something
one.
like that, it looks in that same carpeted bedroom. You can see
Yeah.
that the sockets in there aren't even a three-way plug. It's
Okay.
a dual plug.
Interesting.
Yeah. So some of that might be a little bit outdated, but in the bathroom you can see it was renoed. That would be the only thing. Like I think that room, the other plugs in the house seem to be a tri-plug. Yeah, from what I see.
Okay, perfect. So here's my question then. I totally agree on the floor for the kitchen, and I agree with the light sockets. I think you and I are seeing the same thing, which is awesome. My question to you would be, let's say you bought this house, because that's what I think of. Even the basement
Yeah.
looks pretty good. They did a really good job, I think.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, assuming we buy this house, forget the area, the neighborhood is going to get better over time, who cares? It's going to get better, the pricing is perfect. How much money would you have to put after purchasing the property into upgrading or renovating? This would be your renovation budget starting out.
Realistically, I mean, if you're calling in an electrician for those two sockets and you're not going to do it yourself, because rewiring those wouldn't be very hard. But if you're calling in an electrician, you're talking $300 just to do that quick wiring. I would personally paint that upstairs. It looks like an upstairs. Yeah, it would be the upstairs. The upstairs walls that are wood paneling, like not paneling, but the actual wood. I would paint that white. Some people would leave it, but I mean, honestly, all in all, other than the back porch stairs. They look rickety. I can't quite tell, but those do look like they need some help. So I'd probably say around 1,500 in total reno, because all the windows look nice. Bathroom, everything else looks good. It just looks like the wiring on that and possibly paint matching in that bedroom, and then the back stairs.
Okay. I would agree. I would look, the wood on the outside, it looks to me that those stairs seems to be pre-treated wood, and that tends to last. So, even if it gets battered for, the next 10 years, probably at that point you want to replace it, but from what I can see here on that wood, it looks doable. Right?
Okay.
I would definitely add, especially where that door is, I think it's terrible they don't have a banister. They need something there. If someone's just walking upstairs, coming down the stairs or whatever, you need something that you can hold on to.
Yes. Well, and I don't know the legality there, but where I'm at, the only reason I think they're getting away with it is because past 4 steps you have to have a banister.
Okay.
So it must be the same rulings apply, because otherwise, the city code won't allow it.
Yeah.
Just for safety reasons.
Yeah. But literally, like I'm thinking about this. It's not necessarily just safety reasons, but I should say, I'm an investor. I don't want there to be any situation where I have renters in there and somebody accidentally opens the door and goes to hold on to the banister. There isn't one. They fall right down the stairs, and all of a sudden, I'm getting a call about, oh no, somebody's just fallen, and it's because of,
Yep.
it's because of what I did. Same thing on the front. I mean, come on, guys. I know it's just 3 steps, but
Yeah.
come on.
But still,
let's do something.
and it snows there, so
Yeah.
you need to factor that in, and that's a needed thing for that many steps.
Yeah. So, with that number, I guess we'll push it up to 2,000. We can do something there. Now, one other thing, it looks like there's some settling on that first picture. Those steps seem to be off to the right about maybe 5 degrees.
Yeah.
Right,
I can see that.
sagging about 5 degrees, and then like on the left-hand side, that's it almost looks like that's sagging left about 2 degrees. But I'm an engineer, so don't take too much. Don't think too hard about that. But literally, my brain is like, hey, this is not right. This is off.
Hey, that's off. Yeah.
So yeah, we might actually need to do something to stabilize that. But all in all, it looks solid. Looks like a 90K house that you could potentially buy. The question is, hey, I'm not gonna go into Detroit. I don't have as of right now at least, I don't think I have anybody on the ground in Detroit to help me with the management. Obviously, I would still need to get a management company and pay them their 10% or whatever that number is per month. But either case, I'm definitely not going to put 90K down cash. So
Yeah, no, 100%.
all right, so let's do some numbers here. It's saying that Section 8, I think your number came up to somewhere around 13 something.
Yes, it was I think it was 19.
19?
19,000 was
No,
Section 8.
no, 1900. You mean? You said 19,000. I was like, wait,
you're
what?
saying for
rent.
You're saying for rent. Yes, it was 1310
Okay.
was on Rentcast. It was in between 1180 and 1450.
Right. Okay. So yeah, here again, I say why I love this software. I think Batch Leads and PropStream can do the same thing, right? They just have to clean up their their listings a little bit, but literally this also already
Yeah.
has that in there for, estimated rent, estimated Section 8, blah, 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 all that stuff. Rehab costs, I think we just said was gonna be about 2,000, so I'll put that in there. Down payment, about 45, that's gonna be 4,500, that's gonna include the 3% for the agent,
Okay.
and 2% for the owner. And that's separate from our closing costs. The balance is that, equity is this. Equity is 41%. Now, the other thing is, what 41% to me means is, hey, they're trying to sell this for 90, they only have a loan for 53, which means that they probably, or they might want $40,000. They're like, hey, if I sell this property with my loan, I should be getting $40,000 in cash, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they're thinking. That's why the equity amount matters. If it's 10% equity, if it's even negative equity, that's awesome for a sub 2 type deal. Okay, because at that point they're like, hey, I'm trying to sell this house, I really need it sold, but I know I'm not gonna make any money. In fact, I have to pay, like if it's less than 10%, or I should say if it's less than 7%, assuming the agent takes a cut and there's closing costs, blah, 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 then you're like, okay, I know I have to pay money out of pocket to sell this, but I need to sell it.
Yeah.
Right? But in this case, they actually have a lot of equity and like, yeah, there's money, I know the agent's gonna get a cut, but I also get some cash at the end of the day. So that's the only thing that's gonna make this, as a sub 2 deal, very difficult to sell or to get them to accept.
Okay.
Okay, but it's definitely possible, and like you said, if you're having the conversation with them and they're potentially interested, they just don't like the numbers, then you can get someone like me, not necessarily me, but yeah, I'm happy to get on the call as well, and look at the numbers. So continuing on, no HOA fee, which is awesome, to that point we talked about before about the manufactured homes and not actually having control over extra fees like that.
Yeah.
Taxes are $300 a month, somewhere around there. Doesn't have to be that exact number, but somewhere around there. And the mortgage payment at $300 a month is excellent. Insurance, assuming that's about 31. So basically, at the end of the day, our PITI is less than $1,000, which is awesome. So the interest rate, 6% is not crazy good, but because the numbers for purchasing this property are low, that still comes out to less than $1,000, which is awesome, because if I can rent this for, like it said, hey, if I can rent this for somewhere
Even
around
at the 1,200.
1,200, 1,300, something like that, I can actually make cash flow. So that's why this is
Yeah.
running. Now this is a hybrid, which means, hey, I know you want $40,000 in cash. Can I just pay you some money over time for that? Right? I'm going to be paying the mortgage, but can I also pay you? That's why it's important that we actually, this is called a hybrid, so that means we're paying the mortgage and we're paying the seller. Okay?
Got you.
In a subject to, you generally only pay the mortgage or the loan. For seller finance, you generally only pay the seller, but because there was so much money here in the in equity available, the seller's like, yeah, I need some money for that. So we're like, yeah, okay, I understand, can I just pay you over time for that, please?
Yeah.
Okay, so now they're gonna come back and like, yeah, I need $1,000. Like, okay, well, let me plug it into my computer and see what I can do. If I gave you $1,000, I'm losing money every month, and if I'm doing that, why am I buying this property?
Yes. Yeah.
So can't do 1,000. Can I do 100? If I do 100, it works. They're gonna be like, no, too low. Okay, 200. Pretty bad, but as you can see here, my cash on cash is 22%. What does that mean? 22% basically means that I get about 1/5 of my money back by the end of the year, based on how much cash flow I'm getting. Any questions there?
Okay. No, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, perfect. So my total entry for this one is under $10,000 if they accept these numbers. That would be awesome. Less than $10,000 and I get the property. Of course, I have to start paying people, and hopefully closing costs 2%. Generally speaking, 2%. Rehab costs already have 2,000. Oh, it's okay. But I think this was the challenge: is the down payment. You know, and I'm like, hey, I need a lot of money down. Okay, cool, no problem. Let me change my numbers and see what I can do. If you want more money down, I can't give you as much money per month. So how much do you want down? 10,000. Okay, no problem. I'll just type it in, see what happens. Well, 10,000 down. Whoa, that's at least it's over 12%. That's still not too bad. But if I'm gonna give you a lot more money down, I can't give you this much per month. Maybe I can give you 100 per month.
Per month, yeah.
And if I give you 100 per month and I give you 10,000 down, it's fine. I don't like it, but I can still do that. Over 20%. Okay.
And so is that typically investors are looking to get to that 20% or around that 20%?
Yes, most investors would probably say yes to 20%. Now, one big caveat here. One huge caveat. I forgot. I actually do this calculator. I've already set it up for me based on there's some settings, defaults I can put in there for myself. And I set it up for me, like I'm buying this property. So if I bought this property, my total entry fee, like in this case, right, they wanted more money down, they wanted 10K down, fine, here's 10K. And then closing costs and blah, 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 all these other things, right? Rehab, etc. This comes out to less than 15,000. So to me, this is an awesome deal, but I am now a buyer. That's why it's an awesome deal. If you're trying to wholesale this, right now the assignment fee is 0. You're going to need to add some money to this. So you're going to say, I need $5,000 in an assignment fee. Okay, sure, fine. That's what you want. If you got this under contract for $5,000, I'm not going to like it too much. My cash on cash is less than, obviously
Would that be 16% now, or?
Yeah, exactly. It's less than 20%, right? 16% right there. So I'm not going to like it, but at the same time, because as a creative investor, I actually prefer my entry fee to be very low. So less than 20,000, yeah, I could probably accept that. Still not super excited about it, but at least I can accept it. Make sense?
So so that would take almost 6 years to get to return everything back to you as the buyer.
Pretty much, yeah. But that's based on these rates, right? Now, the thing would be, because it would take me almost 6 years to get back my 20,000, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, after 6 years, this might actually appreciate enough for me to just sell it. And, I might be able to sell it for like 120, right? So although I get my 20 back, I also get 30 on top of that, or whatever that extra, whatever the math
possibly
says.
Refinancing, right? Because you're at a 6 point something % on this, is what you had said, right? So now possibly a refinance after a year or two.
Yes, it's possible. So with that, I will say that literally I do things. I'm pretty sure. Welcome. By the way, everybody, welcome to BuyBox Live. This is BuyBox Live. I am talking about my own BuyBox, and this is where I say once again, I am completely different from other people, from other buyers. One thing I don't like is banks stole money from my children, and I don't like banks. And so, me personally, I would not refinance this. I would sell it outright or just keep it going as is until it's all the way down
Yeah.
to zero. The loan is paid off. So that's the first thing for me. And the second thing for me is, although, like you said, oh, most investors want it to be under 20%. Yeah, if you can, like this one, I can't guarantee you this, but there's some investors I know who, if you accept an assignment fee of less than 10,000, because again, this is a small, it's only a small payment in terms of buying the property itself, right? It's a small offer price, purchase price, I should say. So they generally
Yeah.
wouldn't want to give you, 10,000. And I think even Richard actually has. He says, I just heard him say today that he actually do for single family only 5,000 assignments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I would
So
not
a
be surprised.
multifamily would
Multifamily.
assign more.
Yeah, generally speaking, because multifamilies, you can do like a $10 million property or $5 million property or whatever, right? Those things are like, yeah, if you
Yeah.
can do that, then obviously there's a whole lot more space to give you more than 5K.
Got you.
Okay, if you find a $1 million single family, you might think, oh wow, cool, it's a $1 million single family. There's more space for no. Generally speaking, it's really hard
There's
to find
still
a buyer.
not extra margin for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, because it's really hard
Got
to
you.
find a buyer for a single family that's $1 million property. And the reason for that is, somehow you buy this $1 million property, the rents are still pretty low. They're on the order of, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 even, It's not like the
Yeah.
rents are gonna be like, 20,000. I've seen it, it's possible, but it's not typical.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge you have. But the other thing I was going to mention is, me personally, my buy box, yeah, even 20,000, I'm like, I'd actually like to get this back to being a lot lower than that. So, I am comfortable telling you, this is my show. This is my Buy Box Live. I'm comfortable telling you that if you were to get this property and you want to joint venture with me, you can switch from being a wholesaler and getting 5,000 and then, spinning your wheels next week, starting from scratch, trying to get another property and another 5,000, hopefully, to
Yeah.
just becoming a buyer with me. And together we could joint venture and buy this property. The assignment fee would be zero because you would be getting equity instead, starting out. So
Yeah.
our cash on cash value goes lower than that. And +1 if you can, talk with the agent, and the agent might even be interested in joint venturing with us, joining our joint venture and having their assignment fee also be awarded to them using using the joint venture equity. So they could joint venture with us, which
yeah.
of course takes 3% off of this, which makes this, let's say, down payment of 7. And so, yeah, yes, they get equity. Yes, they get a big, hopefully get a big paycheck in a few years when we sell this off. But at the same time, our cash on cash goes even higher, right?
Oh, so you're saying the percentage that you would basically, for finding this, instead of taking a one-time deal,
Yeah.
you're taking now a percentage of the property, and then within that percentage, you're
Yeah, well,
saying with that percentage, then that would end up, like you would get that return on investment.
yeah, well, basically, I'll say this. Subject to is a tool. What matters is the person using it. With how that works, and I really need to get a nice slide for this. I have a slideshow that has all of them in there, but I need a separate
Mhm.
slide just for this. generally speaking, how this works for subject to is someone buys a property subject to, there's a wholesaler involved, there's an agent involved, and obviously there's a seller involved, and they are the investor. And they come along and they're like, hey, I'll pick this up, and they'll get, they'll buy it, and you'll get an assignment, like in this case, 5,000. The agent will get, in this case, because it's less than 100K, they'll get less than 3,000 in cash. And depending on, whatever the equity amount is, the seller might also get some amount in cash. And that's it. Those people go away, generally speaking. The seller generally goes away, agent goes away, wholesaler goes on to try to find another wholesaling property. Agent goes to try to find another property to sell. That's usually how it works. Now what happens? The investor collects all the income and keeps everything after that to themselves. So you get to keep your 5,000, yay. But now again, you're back at the wheel trying to find another deal. The agent collects their 3,000 or less in this case, and again they go off and they're happy, but at least they got paid, right? It's cash.
Yeah.
And whatever they potentially could have gotten if they joint ventured, the investor keeps all of it. That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
But the way I do it, everybody joint ventures, if as many people as I can, and instead of you getting 5,000 today, because you joint venture with me, whenever I do sell this property, your 5,000 is equity, and you get that same percentage in equity, but it becomes a multiple. So if my exit multiple is, let's say I'm putting in this case, under $12,000, and I have a 4x multiple at the end, my 4x on 12,000 is 48,000, right? I 4x my number. That means when I go to sell this or I do whatever, the output that I get is, because it was 4x, I get $48,000 cash. All right?
Okay.
So that's my goal. That's my hope. That's literally my ideal exit, I call it. I don't like anything less than that. Anything more than that, it's probably going to take me more time. 4x is a nice number. I like that. But if I get 4x, what that means is you actually also get 4x. So if you joint venture with me and you are going to get that $5,000 cash today, and instead you joint ventured with me, which of course reduced my entry cost, you get that 5,000 as equity. And because my exit was 4x,
And then at 4x,
your
to
exit,
20.
your exit is also 4x. So instead of you getting 5,000 today, you actually get 20,000, cash when we exit, because now we are joint ventured.
Got you.
Now, it's a no-brainer, but who's to say that your first deal you don't just want cash? Maybe you do want cash. That's fine.
Yeah.
Same thing with the agent. Maybe it's their first one and they want cash. That's cool. Or
Just
maybe
need
it's
to keep the lights on, pay the bills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to see it work. Yeah, it worked. Yay. I want my 5,000. Good. Let's do it again next time. Fine. That's cool. It just means that extra 15,000 that you would have gotten for the 4x, that extra 15,000 gets added to my pile. That's what I'm saying. That's usually what happens with the investor. They're like, hey, if I got 4x and blah, 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 and you got 4x, that would have been, 20K, but I just gave you 5,000 today, you walked away, and now whatever you would have gotten for joint venturing with me, I get to keep that.
Yeah.
So I'm not upset about it. It would be nice for me to pay less money up front, but in this deal, whatever, I can live with it.
At the end, your exits still end up being
Very, very
good
positive.
percentage back. Yeah.
Yes. And that's literally why one of the probably 5 reasons why I'm not even wholesaling anymore.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. So,
Well, dang, this has helped, like, so much. Are you available? The wife wants me to go get dinner with. I got the kiddo.
Yeah.
Are you available to call tomorrow? Like I'm gonna. My goal is to. I'm gonna try to get it under contract tomorrow with them if they're willing to maybe do a hybrid deal, and kind of talk it through with them. But if I do, are you available for a call tomorrow?
So there are multiple questions in that. I will let you know that I actually go live on Mondays and Tuesdays are extremely busy for me, and usually Mondays are impossible for me to get on a call like this. So you're lucky that you got away with it.
Okay. Well, yeah. No, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Glad we were able to.
But what I do is after hours on Wednesdays to Fridays and also on Saturdays now, I actually go live and do closing calls just like what you're suggesting. So I would do that probably Wednesday or Thursday after hours.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm happy to work with you, over the next few days or, even on the weekend if that works, to close it. And again, if it doesn't work, that's fine. You learned a bunch and we can get moving on the next one.
Yeah,
So
100%. I appreciate it so much.
That's the first thing. The second thing is I will go ahead and send you this specific link that I was using. Makes it very easy. Like they're telling you, hey, I'm gonna, I want this X, Y, Z. Okay, cool. Let me just plug it in and see what happens. So I know.
Yeah, the Atlas seems a lot better than PropStream.
Don't say
Just
that.
overall, it seems like it's a lot more fluid.
Yeah, don't say that too loud in certain places. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't like to hear that.
Definitely, if it was on one of those, but it looks a little bit more. It feels like you have to use a lot less different, websites and things in order to find the same outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree, and that's sort of why when I saw this the first time, I was banging the door to get in. They made me, they got me in there, and now over the last few months, basically I literally do this same thing. I go through, I talk about what I'm looking at, I talk about a property. Me personally, I'm trying to buy a property, and if for whatever reason, like this one is in Detroit, like if I really don't want to, and it's still a good deal, then I might wholesale it. That's how I work. I really want to buy it.
Got you.
If it turns out I don't want to buy it, then I also don't want to waste any buyer's time by trying to sell it to them.
Got you.
So there you have it. I just shared that link with you, and of course you already have my website.
Perfect.
We're already connected, so definitely send me any other questions you have, and I'm happy to do this again.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Tell me your name.
All right, man. Well, it was great. Bryce.
Bryce. Okay, cool. I don't think I saw it on the name.
And what was yours?
Clinton.
It's always Clinton. Okay, perfect.
Very, very simple.
Yeah, I forgot. I saw the atlas.com. Okay, yeah, Clinton.
Yeah.
Well, it was very nice to meet you.
Yep, same here. Thanks very much, and
All right,
thanks
well,
for
thank you so
the
much,
patience in me getting this set up so I can actually
Oh no,
share
you're totally fine. That was perfect.
Okay, awesome. Great. Have a good one.
All right. You as well. Bye-bye.
And ladies and gentlemen, with that, another episode of Buy Box Live comes to a close. I've been your host, Clinton. Head to buyboxlive.com for more content. Also youtube.com/@buyboxlive. It's going to be on some of the other socials as well. Buybox Live. Awesome. All right, thanks.